everyone, and welcome to the Talk Music Podcast, where we chat everything and anything related to the world of music and occasionally focus on topics a little bit unrelated. My name is Scott Cowie. I am a drummer turned comedy singer-songwriter and apparently now a podcaster. You're going to hear me chat to many different people, but more often than not, it will be fellow musicians having conversations about their careers and lives within arguably the greatest art form in the world. And you get this for free each and every week on scottcowie.com, on Stitcher Radio, and now on iTunes. So please rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, let them know what's going on over here. But for now, enjoy the show. Before we get to the interview with Andy, I've got our producer on the line, Ron North. How are we, Ron?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
You know me, Ron, can't complain, never do. I thought I'd just get you on to chat about these videos because you're a big fan of that Adele video that he's put up, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. And the views he's getting is incredible.
It's absolutely amazing. He's done really well in building that channel up and, of course, just producing really good content. And I was just very, very intrigued, because I was chatting to you about it. You and I had lengthy conversations about getting in touch with Andy and finding out a bit more about this guy. So I'm really looking forward to getting the opportunity to chat to him today. Clearly very talented. Did you watch those videos? I think anybody that does watch them, they see the comedy value and things of that nature, but there's obviously a massive underlying talent there. And I found out it was just one guy that was behind all the music. So to say I was intrigued is an understatement, as you know. But Ron, you've got some news I'd love you to share with the listeners.
Yeah, my sister had her first baby on Saturday.
Many congratulations to your sister. Give out for the listeners who don't know your sister's name and of course the baby's name. Go ahead.
Yeah, big shout out to Laura North, who had her first baby, wee baby Riley.
Fantastic. Okay, so there's Uncle Ron is with us.
Yeah, Uncle Ron, the podcast producer.
Uncle Ron, the podcast producer. Yeah, that's definite. I don't know if there's a future for Uncle Ron, the podcast producer. It sounds very sinister indeed, but certainly very misleading for anybody that knows our Ron. Big shout out to Ron, of course, because this man obviously produces each and every episode of the Talk Music Podcast. I don't know how many we've done of those now, so absolutely amazing. And a big shout out to Laura, obviously, for having little Riley. Fantastic news. Laura, of course, is a frequent listener to the podcast as well, and a shout out to everybody who's been emailing in, tweeting and supporting this thing. Please continue to subscribe, rate, review, and keep this thing live for free. Absolutely amazing. So Ron, we're going to get right to the interview with Andy Rehfeldt. It's going to be a good one. Okay, I am back on the Talk Music Podcast with YouTube sensation Andy Rehfeldt. How are you today, Andy?
I'm great. How you doing, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good, and I'll tell you the reason why, because over the last 2 or 3 days, me and a bunch of friends have been watching your YouTube clips. Very, very entertaining. Desperate to know everything behind it. So for anybody that doesn't know, can you tell us about what your YouTube channel consists of, essentially?
Well, it consists of like death metal, a lot of death metal, and a lot of jazz versions. I'm doing death metal versions of pop tunes and whatever else, musicals. That was the latest one, and and then I like to switch it around, and I like to do jazz versions or cheesy versions of stuff that I call Radio Disney. I don't know how I came up with that, but that just seemed to work. And I'm just trying to make musical comedy while still producing entertaining music that's good.
Now, tell us,
quality, I guess.
How did the concept of all this start?
Well, I was watching the guy who does the shred videos.
Right.
I was like, wow, this is great. I want to do this, but I want to do it more musically. I want to put all my musical skills into it and make it better, or not better, but a different thing. And so after watching those, I found found the vocals to a Lamb of God song. I forget which song it was, and I said, "Oh, I found the vocals," and I said, "Okay, I can listen to these vocals, and I can make it into a jazzy thing that's really kind of cheesy and stuff, and it'd be funny. It might piss off the guys in the band, but it'd be funny." And so I that's what I started doing, and that just sparked it. And then I did the Slipknot one, which was me singing and playing all the instruments instead of finding vocals. And I just decided to make that as cheesy as possible with a kind of, really cheesy sounding voice, which I naturally have. And then I said, okay, what should I call this? Well, and then I thought of Radio Disney, because that's really cheesy, I guess. So that's how I started calling those that. So those were the first two videos that I really that really started it. And then after that, I was just obsessed with YouTube and being able to entertain a bunch of people. Since I've always been like a bar band musician. Instead of, I never really broke it big or anything. So this was kind of like a thrill to me, because I'm entertaining tons of people on the internet.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to talk more about the videos in a little bit. Now, you mentioned there you're a bar musician. You've been a musician for a long period of time. Tell us about your background in that area then. Did you study music, Andy?
Yes, I studied music. Both my parents are classical professional musicians, and they taught me. My mom taught me piano. My dad taught me a lot of woodwind instruments: bassoon, flute first, bassoon, and then saxophone and oboe. Not clarinet, because that's a different fingering, which is his main instrument, but. So that's what I did as a kid. I played in concert bands and orchestras, but I was always a rocker. I mean, I got into like the Beatles when I was in second grade, and I started buying their albums, and then I started getting into Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and the harder stuff, and then I always loved the soul music that was African American type music, which I always got into. I mean, I used to get Jackson 5 records on cereal boxes. They used to print them on cereal boxes, and then you can play them on your turntable.
Wow.
That Unkies albums. I mean, I'm kind of old. I'm 51, so that's what was coming out back then when I was a kid, which was really cool. And so, I was totally obsessed with that. And meanwhile, my parents are teaching me formal music, but I'm really into drums. I begged my dad to get me a drum set, so I just play all the time. Played a Beatle records and Deep Purple records and Grand Funk records, and but thank God to them, they taught me the formal part of it, so I was able to learn how to read. I wasn't a great reader until later, but that's how it all happened. And so I kept on playing gigs. After I graduated from college, I got a music degree in composition, and the first job I got was as a waiter. So there you go. That's how that's how that went. But I just started playing gigs all the time, and after a period of time of just doing gigs and partying too much, and I said, okay, I got to take this seriously. So I started getting into jazz, and I got into I found a teacher named Jody Fisher who taught me all the guitar theory of jazz, and I started really getting into Charlie Parker and listening to that all the time. And I bought the Omni book, which is all his transcriptions of his solos. So I learned about 6 of those, and that really changed my musicianship. That made me 10 times better, I think. That's what I think. And so after that, I got a gig as a composer and I've been doing that for almost 20 years at the same place, Endless Noise. And, that's about it. I just keep on practicing and trying to stay clean,
Right, because it's obvious by watching these videos online, even though it's comedy and it's a parody, there's obvious really strong musicianship behind it. So you're a metal fan, you're a jazz fan, you're just a fan of all music in general?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a fan of all music. I mean, I grew up like really listening to like the Beatles first, and then harder rock and funk and then I got into like fusion, like Return to Forever and stuff like that. And then later on in college, I really got into Bob Marley. And in the back of my mind, I was always listening to a little bit of traditional jazz, like Coltrane and Charlie Parker and all that stuff. But deep down inside, I think I'm a metalhead, basically.
There's a lot of metal videos on there. You mentioned Bob Marley. I watched that one. I've just noticed I'm on your YouTube channel at the moment. The Dr. Trey, the next episode. I'll need to check that video out. There's a ton here for everybody to go ahead and watch. Now tell me, how long does it take you, Andy, to do one of these videos, if you like? How long does the recording process take?
It takes I'd say about 5 hours. I mean, before I have to get off on the road and go to work, I'll do a little bit. Like I have to make a tempo map, and I have to make sure everything is all set. And then what I usually do is I do like a scratch guitar part, and I come up with chords to whatever I'm going to do. And after I made the tempo map. So it takes about 5 to 6 hours or more sometimes. Sometimes I dwell on stuff and change stuff.
What's been the video that you look back on that you've had the most fun putting together? Because it's obvious you must really enjoy this process.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really into my Eminem Rihanna one.
Yep.
Because what I had to do is I had to say, okay, here's Eminem rapping, and now I'm gonna like try to pick out every tone that he raps. So I did that on piano first, on MIDI piano. I made the tempo first. I made the tempo map first because they speed up and slow down because live performance, of course. And I said, okay, now I'm gonna have to put all this or pick out every note for Eminem, and then I'm gonna have to and then I'm gonna take the MIDI information and make it into music so I can learn it on guitar. So I was reading the notes on guitar, and it made no sense at all musically, but it was really fun. And then after that, I had to analyze what chord sounds best for whatever phrase, and how it came out. I'm really proud of that one.
It's really good.
It sounds ridiculous, but really funny.
It's really good. I love the Paul McCartney, Eleanor Rigby. That is really, really good. I'll tell you. I'm just going to tell you some of the ones that I've been watching the last few days that I really got a kick out of. The Green Day one is really, really clever. I'm glad you mentioned there about chord progressions and having to fit new chord progressions around melody. People need to realise how clever this is, what you put together. You've got a guitar in front of you. I don't know if you could take us through maybe the Green Day process, how you put Basket Case and basically rewrote the chord progression and made a kind of jazz version of the song we know as Basket Case.
Okay, let me show you guys. That one was pretty like straightforward. Like a lot of times I write progressions that are in the relative major. The song is in the major key of E flat. So the song is very simple. So I just kind of for the one chord, if you want to call it that, it's just that. And then the 5 chord, I kind of did like a suspended dominant chord, and then I did like a passing chord, a diminished passing chord, and then I went, and then, So that one, instead of doing the normal 3 chord, I did like a sharp 9 chord, and then like a 4 chord. So let me play it slowly. Do you kind of understand what that is?
Very, very clever.
I was just like, making jazz, putting jazz chords to the same progression, but adding a couple passing chords.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's so good that you've got this outlet to do this, and it's unbelievable. The videos are getting millions and millions of viewers. What was there a particular video that really kick-started out of the whole collection that's there, that really kind of got them to the millions, and the thing started building momentum?
I'm sorry, what was that again? A venue or something?
No, I'm just saying, what was there a particular video out of your whole YouTube collection that it really kick-started and got the ball rolling, because they've now went on to receive like millions of views? Was there one early on that really kind of got the ball rolling?
Yeah, so it was the Inner Sandman one, the Metallica one.
Right, okay.
I was like, oh my gosh. I came back the next day to work, and my co-workers are like going, wow, this is viral, dude. Like, wow. So I was tripping out. And, I didn't think, just like all my videos, I don't know what's going to happen, but, that one became really popular, just like the Mary Poppins one that just happened.
Yeah, that was only... That's only a few days old, and that's receiving a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's like less than 2 weeks, like a week and a half old, and that's the most views I've ever gotten, like 2.5 million. It's getting up to 3 million, and I'm just like, wow. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Unbelievable, right? You mentioned Metallica, and take us through this chord progression if you can in Enter Sandman. You've
all right. Let me see if I remember. It's the beginning is really simple. Sorry. I think I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm doing that. Made him more happy. And then when I get to the chorus, now remember, this song is in this key, so they're just going, say your prayers, little one, don't forget my son. So I brought it up to the relative major, so it could sound really happy. And so James Hetfield's vocals diatonically fit. They fit fine, so it was fine. So I'm going, say your prayers, little one, don't forget my son. To include everyone. Excuse my singing. So what I'm doing is I'm doing your basic, 1-6-2-5 cheesy jazz progression, and then I go to the 3, and so I'm going. There's a nice dominant chord. Clutching your pillow tight. Oh, I forgot what I did there, but so I go into a different key there, and I forgot what it was. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely brilliant. It's really, really good. It's very clever, and all this talk of like diatonically, the vocal fits now, there's a lot of thought behind it. It's very, very good indeed, and it's a great insight that we're getting here. Now, what does the future hold? Can you give us a sneak peek at any videos or any songs that you might be working on that we could look forward to in the future?
Well, it's just all up in the air, and like on Friday night, I was at work, and I said, well, I should find something, because and sometimes it's like that. A lot of times people tell me, hey, you should do this one, or you should do this one. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that one. So I found a Korn video, and what was it? What was the song? Falling Away From Me. I don't know if you know that song. But I found a really good 8 high definition video. But the first thing I found was his split out vocals. So, And the video is great because they're like headbanging and they're really angry and they're really into it. So I'm going to make it really cheesy and as feminine as I can make it. That's what I'm going to do.
We'll look forward to that, Andy. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Really good insight once again into all the videos, and all the best for the future. I hope they reach 5 million, 10 million, because the whole thing seems to be going from strength to strength, and good on you.
Thank you very much, man.
Great conversation there with Andy. Really, really cool getting to know him. Very, very cool guy. Ron and I were just chatting off air. What amazing response to the last couple of episodes, isn't it, Ron? Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
The Kyle Gass episode, Susan Bennett, who's the voice of Siri, had a good chat with us. That was in last week's episodes. Please continue to support the podcast, as we said earlier. Great interviews with Chris Jericho, George Clinton, Julian Lennon, Stuart Copeland. You name it, we've had the people on the podcast. Super exciting. We cannot announce who's going to be on next week, but you have to check out scottcowie.com, go into iTunes, go into SoundCloud. Once again, rate, review, subscribe, continue supporting this thing, and give us your feedback as well. scowiemusic@gmail.com. Next week sees the return of Nora Germain with the love advice. That section of the podcast is going down a storm. We're getting tons of feedback on that. Thanks to Ron North, thanks to Baby Riley, and thanks of course to Andy Rehfeldt, and we will see you guys next week.